What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden, and welcome to another episode, or let's say, welcome to the first episode of Chicago Bulls Weekly. If you guys don't know, this is like the 6th year I've been doing this. We kind of discuss the previous week as well as look forward to the upcoming weeks for the Chicago Bulls. And ultimately, this is the start, the beginning of the season. This is where a lot of people are usually the most excited to be a Bulls fan. And to be honest, the Bulls have given us a reason to be excited with our very hot start. Can it continue throughout the week? Let's talk about it in this video. Before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know what you guys think about the Chicago Bulls, their previous 2 games, as well as their upcoming week ahead. And of course, we usually give awards out, ladies and gentlemen, but we started the previous week with 2 games, and we started with a 2-0 start. The first time that's ever happened in 4 years, which is absolutely incredible. This team, the team that a lot of people didn't actually expect to get where they are, or a lot of people that didn't expect the Bulls to be any good, I think they're looking at these 2 games and they might have a glimmer of hope now. I would like to think so. But it's just the magnitude in which we won those games. The first game was against the Pistons, and we did only win by 4 points. It was 115 to 111. But the most important thing about that game was just the dominance that we had throughout the game. Yes, the Pistons came back. There are a lot of teams that are going to come back from big deficits. The Pistons are probably going to be better than the Chicago Bulls this season. But in that specific game, I can honestly sit here and tell you, I truly believe we were the better team and we played like the better team. And we should be very happy with that result because you don't get many. We have to face the Pistons 4 times. So getting 1 victory on them is a monumental feat. And hopefully we could get another one, maybe tie the season series or something along those lines, because against a formidable foe like that, you got to take the wins as they come. And speaking of formidable foes, we had the Orlando Magic next, and we won this one fairly more comfortably, 110 to 98. We had a very decent fourth quarter, very good defensive display. Even though there were a couple of players that really let us down, the bench unit really stepped up to the plate, and just overall, the balanced scoring was just too hard to overcome. It is as simple as that, for Orlando at least, and the Bulls secured their second victory. To do it away against Orlando is even more impressive. With that being said, we have a couple of awards to give out, ladies and gentlemen, and these awards go as follows. I don't usually like to give some of these awards out because they're very difficult to analyze, but we've got the Must Improve of the Week, the Sixth Man of the Week, the Defensive Player of the Week, and the Player of the Week in general. These are the 4 awards that we like to give out on this channel each and every single week. Sometimes we skip them. If, for example, if there's no Must Improve, if we had just an amazing week and everybody played well, we tend to skip those awards, but normally we try to give the award every single time out. So let's start off with the Must Improved. And again, this is kind of based on that last game against Orlando. It's going to be Isaac Okoro for me. The reason why is, yeah, he played well against the Pistons, I believe. Really good defense, really, really strong. 5 assists and 4 rebounds. But the game against Orlando was very underwhelming. And if I had to pick between him and Buzelis, I think Buzelis has played overall better games than Isaac Okoro, even if he did get fouled out in 12 minutes. That's the only reason I could give. 0 points in both of those games as well, if you want to put that as a stat line. But it's mainly just the Orlando game. I just felt like for the amount of minutes that he did play, yeah, he didn't get fouled out, which is the positive, but I felt like he just wasn't really good. And to be honest, if he's our starter and we need him to step up to the plate, he has to start stepping up to the plate. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the next week. Am I giving up on Isaac Okoro? Absolutely not. Again, 1 good game, 1 bad game. That we're nowhere near this point of giving up on Isaac Okoro, but I can acknowledge that he needs to start stepping up on the offensive end, especially if the defense just isn't working on that night. My 6th man of the week, I mean, sheesh, this is a very difficult one to give because our bench was just absolutely stacked this time around. I mean, that Magic game was unbelievable. And then obviously you got the Pistons game. I think collectively we scored 93 points as a bench unit with 58 of them coming against the Magic. That is, again, it's an incredible feat. And if I could, I'd give the 6th Man of the Week award to the entire team. I really feel like that is where we're at with how this bench was. If I have to pick one person, again, there's just a whole bunch to select from here. I probably would go with either Patrick Williams or Ayo Dosunmu. I feel like those two players right there. It's to be honest, I'm gonna pick both of them because I find it really hard to pick between the two. Ayo with some unbelievably huge shots in the Orlando Magic game, and he had some big shots against the Pistons as well. And then Patrick Williams is coming out and surprising people left, right, and center. I think Ayo has the better stats if you look based on the stats and the statistics of the two games. But I feel like Patrick Williams' impact has been a huge difference maker as well, especially when Bazelas got fouled out. He stepped up to the plate and had a very strong game, doing a little bit of everything for you. And defensively, he's been very solid as well. For me, it's hard to choose, but it's between those two. And I don't want to choose when we have such a great bench mob like that. So it's going to go to both of them. Congratulations. Defensive player of the week. Oof. We had some strong defensive displays. And again, it's the team display as well. But I have to give it to Tre Jones. He's not necessarily the most amazing defender you'll ever see, but his defensive placement on the court and his aggression to grab steals is probably working out a lot more than you would expect. He had a great game against the Pistons defensively, was a nuisance. He was everywhere. He's the type of guy that's going to get into your grill. Even if he's not amazing at it, he's gonna fight for you. And he's very, very active, and he's very good placement-wise. I think positionally, he's a terrific defender, in my opinion, positionally. He's always in the right spots. He's never late to help him, late on the rotations and everything like that. And because of that, he gets steals and he's able to go for them and take the risk, and it's working. So for me, he's my defensive player of the week. The 5-steal career high game speaks volumes. He had a very good preseason doing similar things. And long may it continue, ladies and gentlemen. And then my player of the week, there's a couple of people this could go to. I really like Josh Giddey's week. The first game, he had really nice assists, getting Vucevic involved, and he had really good points. I think he had 19 points, a double-double, if I'm not mistaken, in that first game. And then the second game, the playmaking wasn't exactly there, but he had 8 rebounds. He had 21 points. He was very efficient, and that is definitely something I cannot ignore. I liked Ayo's game. I feel like he should be in contention for this. Vucevic with an unbelievable first game against the Pistons, following with a 15-point performance against the Magic. There's a lot to choose from here, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to stick with Josh Giddey just because he did different things. So obviously the first game he had 19 points, right? But it wasn't all from the 3-point line. And his playmaking was just really, really good. Finding Vucevic left, right, and center. It was a joy to watch in that regards. But then the Magic game, he did start shooting the 3 quite efficiently. I think he made 3 threes in that game, if I'm not mistaken. He made some big threes. He made some big shots. And he was able to make a difference on the scoring end, not just the playmaking or not just the rebounding side of things. And I really thought he had a great game defensively against the Orlando Magic as well. I think Josh Giddey is my answer, but this could go either way. Again, there's loads of players on this team where you have a 2-0 start that could be in contention for this. You could put Tre Jones in there. He had 2 great games, Magic and Pistons. He had tremendous games on both sides. I think Vucevic should be in this. Ayo should be in this. There's loads of players that should be involved in this, but maybe I'm biased. Call me the Aussie, you know? Aussie. I just got Josh Giddey to be player of the game. That's what it is. So we'll see what happens next week if he could continue to play in a similar way. And we've got some hard games next week. We have our introduction into the NBA Cup next week as well. So our first game is going to be in a couple of hours' time, and it's going to be against the Atlanta Hawks. If I'm not mistaken, they do have a couple of players out of that game, and so do the Bulls. So there might be a little bit of a balance there with Kobe White being out. I think Porzingis is out for Atlanta. So we don't necessarily get to see Atlanta at full strength, because my biggest fear with Atlanta is the pick and roll game now, with Porzingis being a 7'3" monster, but also could shoot from the logo. So I'm very worried with Kristaps Porzingis, but if he's out, it kind of gives us a little bit of an advantage that we can play into there. We do tend to play well against the Hawks. I wouldn't necessarily say we always win the game, but we play well against them. We tend to do decently. So hopefully that is another way that we could just continue to play. And this team is definitely locking in more defensively. So I'd like to see how we go against a team like Atlanta, who's going to be very pick and roll heavy, with Trae Young being the ball handler pretty much 95% of the time. It should be very interesting. Then we got the game against the Kings. We get to see Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan return to the United Center. We'll see. Has Zach LaVine played in Chicago since he got traded? I can't remember. But all I'm going to say for this game is I truly believe we can win this game. But they got some okay people. They got Russell Westbrook. They got DeMar DeRozan, who's really good. They got Zach LaVine. They got Dennis Schroeder. They're going to be a threat. They're going to be a threat. And especially with how DeMar DeRozan plays against some of his former sides, he's going to come in and try to ball out. So we've got to be prepared for that game. But the main thing I want to take away is I hope that there's going to be Bulls fans out there that are going to show the respect to these players and not boo them. I know Zach LaVine kind of left on interesting terms, to say the least, but he was here for nearly 8 years, if I'm not mistaken. He was an all-star for us. He had some very entertaining games when the Bulls were really, really horrible. So I don't want anyone booing Zach LaVine in that game. And no one's going to boo DeMar DeRozan. He's just... I'm fully confident that's not going to happen. But I am a bit worried about Zach LaVine. So... yeah, whatever happens, let's treat these guys with the respect that they deserve. Show them love. They're former players, and I don't want to see no booing at the United Center in that game. But I do believe we can walk out with a victory there. With the way that we're playing, and hopefully with how fast we can play. I'm not saying we are going to win the game, but I'm going to say is I think we could compete for this one. And we could definitely fight with the Sacramento Kings. And then the last game is our introduction into the NBA Cup, and it's going to be against the New York Knicks, and it's going to be at home. Now, if we could beat the Knicks at home, and we've done it before, we beat the Knicks, maybe it was away from home, but we beat the Knicks before last season. If we could do it again this time around, it makes our chances to advance into the NBA Cup magnificently high. Because I feel like every other game in the NBA Cup is definitely winnable. But you look at the New York Knicks, the best team in the East. Probably, I think they've had a good start to the season as well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. And that game's going to matter. That game, they're going to give it 110%. Both teams should. You're probably going to play your starters to the very end of the game to build up the score, as your team should. This game, it means a lot. It means a lot for the NBA Cup, and it means a lot for advancing in the in-season tournament. And I want to do it. To be honest, I want to do it. Now, doesn't mean we will, but that's what I want. In relation to how many games I think we're going to win, look, I want to keep the positive streak going. I want a tremendous start to the season. I think we're going to win 2 games and lose 1. I don't know what those games are going to be, but I'm going to keep the positive faith that this Bulls team has come out with a point to prove and is trying to prove everybody wrong in that aspect. And if they could continue to have that defensive intensity each and every single game, I give our team the chance to win. Because offensively, I do not worry about this team. There might be some nights where it's a bit off, but offensively, we have talent. Even without Kobe White, we've got guys stepping up to the plate. We're making threes. We're scoring in the paint. We're diversifying our offense. I'm loving it. Defensively was always the worry for this team. We all know that. If they have that defensive intensity against the Hawks, the defensive intensity against the Kings, and the defensive intensity against the Knicks, we'll be in these games, and I can give my team truly the belief that they can win the game. Let's wait and see what happens. That's Bulls Weekly. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow against the Hawks. Hopefully, none of what I just said comes back to bite me. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.